Hey everybody, this morning, this actually wet, cool spring morning, I am in McCordsville, Indiana. So just a little bit to the east of Indianapolis. Actually, if you were to take US 36, which is Pendleton Pike, out of Indianapolis to the northeast-ish, just up there on the corner, there's a stoplight here with 600, which is Oleo Road, when you get up into Fishers, a little bit to the north. But if you were to follow that all the way out here to McCordsville, small town just on that east side of Indianapolis, that's where I am today in this tiny, tiny little park. But we're gonna talk about in this video days like this. So the rain, what you can expect as far as that goes, and what it looks like really throughout the entire year. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with the Compton Home Group. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Indianapolis or any of the surrounding cities or towns, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also tap the little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. Now we have people reaching out to us from all over the country with questions about places like this, McCordsville, Indiana, but of course Indianapolis, Indiana, and what it's like to live there, where might be the best fit for their particular family. So if you have questions at all about anything regarding Indianapolis or the towns surrounding and the cities surrounding Indianapolis for that matter, then make sure you reach out any way that you know how. We'll always have your back with those questions, and we'll certainly have your back when it comes time for you to make your move to the Indy Metro. All right, so like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm actually not in Indianapolis. If you were to write the address down on an envelope as to where I am right now, I'm in McCordsville, Indiana. So very, very small town, roughly 8-ish thousand people or so in McCordsville. And just to my north is Fishers, and then just to the south, it's kind of open, honestly. Once you get outside of McCordsville, you'll start to approach Greenfield, which is a little bit east of Indianapolis, but very close to Indianapolis. I can just travel not very far, maybe a mile or so to the west here, and then I'm right in Indianapolis. So of course the weather here isn't gonna be any different than it is in Indianapolis for that matter. So right now it's the month of May, and it's a cool, wet spring morning. And I will say that over the years, clients that have come into Indianapolis or any of the surrounding cities to explore a little bit, a lot of times, depending on the time of year, they come in and it's raining, or the weather is just not that great. Of course, the question is when they come in to try to learn a little bit about Indianapolis, they want to know, especially if they're from a different location that is way warmer, like Southern California, or maybe in Florida, or the Southwest, or Texas, or something like that. They want to know what it's like throughout the year here. Now, of course, we have 4 very distinct seasons. So we definitely have a spring, and we have a summer, we have a fall, and we have a winter. No doubt about it. But when they come in and it's raining, or it seems to be wet for the couple of days that they're here, you start to wonder, because it leaves an impression, is it always like that? And of course the answer is no, but there's some facts about Indianapolis as far as rainfall is concerned that is really pretty surprising. I know a long time ago, whenever I was reading these facts, they surprised me, no question about it. So when you think about rainy cities in the United States, I don't know what comes to your mind, but the very first city that comes to my mind is going to be Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington, now I've been there actually many times. And I will say some of the times that I've been there, it has rained, although it's never really rained hard. But a majority of the time that I was there was during the summer, and the weather was ridiculous. It was beautiful, it was clear, it was warm, and I now have this impression of Seattle being this gorgeous place that's really not all that wet. But I know during a lot of the year, it does rain. But how much does it rain? So Seattle, the average rainfall there is just under 40 inches. So it depends on where you are in Seattle. Like if you're at SeaTac Airport, that's where they can get some official measurements. You can maybe get some official measurements in other places in Seattle. So it's gonna vary a little bit, but just under 40 inches for the year. If you come to Indianapolis, well, depending again on where you measure the rainfall, but usually it's at the airport, International Airport, it's roughly 44 or 45 inches of rain. So we do get more rain than Seattle does. Now, the thing about it though, is that, well, and in fact, April and May are our wettest months of the year. So there's a saying, April showers bring May flowers. Well, here it's more like April showers and May showers bring April and May flowers. It just seems to rain a decent amount in April and May. They're pretty wet months for the most part. So you can see here it is spring, so things are starting to pop and become really green. And once the temperature begins to warm up in April and May and we do get that rain, then it just makes the grass mad and it just grows like crazy. And as soon as you start mowing it, it makes it even more mad. And if you can't mow it probably a couple times a week, it's kind of hard to keep up with until we get a little bit later into June and July. But April, May are our wettest months, but it's not every day like this. The big difference between Seattle and Indianapolis is that Seattle just has more days with measurable rain. So I think the number is somewhere at 140 or so measurable days of rain. And then if you get here in Indianapolis, it's maybe 120 or so days where we have measurable rain. And that doesn't mean inches and inches of rain or anything like that. It's just, it could be 1/10 of an inch or maybe 5/100ths of an inch. It's just measurable. And of course that could happen not all day, it could happen in one little period. So it could happen at 2 in the morning. And by the time the morning actually comes when the sun is up, you didn't even know that it rained. But there was a measurable amount of rain that day. Seattle is a lot like that actually. Seattle has a lot of days where it's very light and then maybe by the afternoon it's gone. So it rains a little bit in the morning and then it's finished. And of course they have days where it's wet all day, but a lot of days are like that. And Indianapolis is certainly no different. But since we have fewer measurable days of rain, that means each time it rains, we probably get more. And that's true. So we aren't moderated by an ocean, so we get more extremes. We have more extreme winters, we have more extreme summers. If you're right by an ocean, that ocean water tends to moderate your climate, and so your winter's a little more mild, and your summers are actually a little bit more mild too. So we, given that we have a more extreme climate, we get thunderstorms. And so a lot of our rain, especially in the summer, comes in the form of thunderstorms, where it might rain an inch at a time, sometimes a little bit more than that. And we actually have a decent amount of thunderstorms during the entire year, but it's probably a little less than maybe what you think. We only, on average, get about 20 days or so with thunderstorm activity. And a lot of times that happens in the afternoon. So in the morning it's okay, although we can get thunderstorms in the morning or the middle of the night, but during the summer, when it's really warming up, and also in the spring, we get afternoon thunderstorms. And then it might not be the entire city of Indianapolis, which is geographically is a very big place. So on the south side of Indianapolis, they might get some thunderstorms and you might get an inch of rain, maybe more. North side, it might not be raining at all, or vice versa. So it's not equivalent and completely spread out perfectly over the entire metro, the whole geographic area. So that's why when you measure a rainfall for the entire year, it's not always going to be the same in every single area because it's just not always so perfectly spread out. So if you're coming here to visit and you want to know how it is rain-wise during the entire year, just know that we do get it in periods. We have less rainy days than a Seattle, but we tend to get a little bit more on those rainy days than a place like Seattle that has such a reputation for rain. They get more rainy days, so it makes it seem like they get more rain than what we get here in Indianapolis. So if you have any questions at all after your visit about what it's like at any other time of the year, or you come back for a second visit to try to see what it's like, but maybe it's the same, and you start to get into that rut, that impression that Indianapolis has a certain type of weather that you've only experienced, it may not exactly be that way. So if you have questions about anything related to that at all and what it's going to be like for you to live in this particular area, then reach out any way that you know how. And until the next one, we'll see you later.